Okay, so after you finish your Onshape model here, you're going to have to create an orthographic or multi-view drawing just of the box, right? So essentially what we need to create is this model here, this drawing here, right? So that's what I'm going to show right now. So what we need to do, remember when you're drawing this, you do not need to include all your coasters. You can just draw one as a reference. If you want to put all of them in here, you can. We'll go over this in assemblies later on. But the easiest way to do this, because we just want to show the box in our drawing, not the coasters. So what I want to do is go over to the Part Studio down here on the bottom where it says Part Studio 1. I'm going to right click and duplicate this. So now I can make any changes to this. You see down here, it opens a new tab. You can click this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete all my coasters. So I can just, um, what I can do is find the part in my parts list and just delete these. So I'm going to delete all my coasters because I don't need them for this drawing. Now the next thing I want to do, once I have just the parts that I want to show in my drawing, I'm going to click the plus symbol down the bottom left hand corner and click create drawing. Now this is where we want to choose our template. So we have different sizes here. ANSI and ISO. These are different drafting standards. Don't worry too much about these right now. So what I want to do is just create a custom template. So the size of the template determines the size of the paper. We're not going to be printing these, so you can go up to size A is an 8.5 by 11, right? Size A portrait is 11 by 8.5. D is 11 by 17. C and D get larger. Okay. For this, you can go to the larger sizes if you want to fit everything on, but everything should fit on size A. On the right-hand side, we don't need to include a border. So I say do not include. For the title block for this, we don't need this either. And I hit do not include. Click OK. Now we need to insert a part from the Studio Copy 1. If I go down here, you'll see that the parts are separate. What we want to do is click this Part Studios here on the left-hand side, and it will allow you to click your Part Studio. Now, we made a copy, so we want to click this one because it will allow you to click the Part Studio as a whole, right? So you don't have to include the separate parts because you want to include the entire box. So I click this, and from here I can choose the view. So we'll start with the front view. I want this to be 1:1, so I can change the scale. And now I'm just going to drop this here. And now what I can do is move this. So I want to show the front view, the top view. And then what I'll do is I'll click again. And if I drag over, it will know to reference that point. And what I'll do to break the cursor here, you can tell it's still in the projection command. I'm just going to hit the escape key on my keyboard and I can drag this and just space it out. Great. So I have my top view, my front view, and my side view. I can highlight all of these and double click if I want to show the scale label, if I want to show the view label. You might have to do this each individual one. You don't need to do this, but it does make your drawings a little bit more organized. So I can double click. We know the scale is 1:1, so I'm not going to worry too much about adding the scale, but I am going to add the view label so you know what side it is. We're not going to be making a template off of these, so if these are too big for your dimensions to fit, you can always make these scale down if you want. So we have our top, our front, our right side. What I want to do is add another view. I want to add that isometric in the corner. I'm going to go up here on the top left where it says Insert View, and the Part Studio copy, we know that's the copy still selected. It's up here. If I wanted to change that, I would just grab it from this window, and we want to change the view orientation. We want that to be isometric. This isometric is too big. We don't need this to be 1:1, so I'm just going to make that 1:2, and it's in the corner. Now this will not be dimensioned. Okay, so now what I want to do is add my dimensions to this. So I will go up, hit D on my keyboard, or the dimension command is up here. So I click that, and then I want to dimension these pieces. So I want to know how long each piece is. So I'll dimension from there to there. We want to know the height, the width, and the thickness of the material. So this should give us everything. And what I will do is I will also add the dimension at the inside. So we have the bottom. You can move things around if you want. And that will give us all the dimensions for our piece. We want to make sure that the dimensions are kind of in the middle and centered, not off-centered if we can, to try to keep it easy to read and easy to understand. If your decimals are hard to see, they're small, we want to make them bigger. On the right-hand side, there's a little drawing properties icon. It looks like a wrench. If I click this, there's a bunch of different settings in here. So the precision for this, right? We don't need to go super precise when we're using for this product specifically. We can do inches fractional or inches decimal, but typically we do inches fractional. In the precision, we typically work within 1/32 of an inch. For this, that's fine. And then what I like to do sometimes is change the text height for the dimensions. So here it's 0.12. Sometimes I'll make these maybe 0.2, just a little bit easier to read. If you want to do that, you don't need to, but what I do is change that here, and you can adjust those. Right, originally 0.1, they'll do 0.18 just to see. Yeah, that looks a little bit better, a little easier to read. So you want to make sure you're not over dimensioning, so I'm only putting one dimension for each. I'm not repeating. I have 4.5 across here. I'm not going to add that anywhere else. And I should have all the dimensions I need here to make this. Right. So now I have my drawing 4. What I will do is right click down here and I will rename this, right? So this would be my orthographic or multi-view box drawing. Really, it's a good habit, right? And a requirement just to remember to label our things here, right? So now we have our orthographic drawing of just the box.